Hi everyone, so today we're going to be doing a live playthrough of Evolve. I'm going to be taking you through the game, how it plays, and talking to you about what I see really, and my impressions of the game. Unfortunately this has been a bit of a difficult one to review initially when the embargo was lifted because, well, there was no one to really play against. The servers weren't up, waiting for patches and so on. So nobody's really been able to do a proper review of the game before launch. So what I thought was, let's go for a live playthrough instead, so you can get a better idea of how the game actually plays, and obviously my thoughts. Now the first thing to say is this is a beautiful looking game. We're running this on a PC, running a GTX 770 and an Intel i7 4970 I think it is. CPU clocked at 3.6 GHz with a 3.8 GHz boost. Now we're going to be playing the Hunters on this particular map with a player taking on the role of the monster. If you're not aware, Evolve is a co-op game. 4 players take on the role of the Hunters, 1 person takes on the role of the monster. The idea is, for the Hunters at least, to stop the monster from being able to destroy the power relay once it reaches to evolution level 3. The monster's job basically is to avoid the Hunters whilst feeding itself. Every time it reaches a new feeding level, as it were, it evolves. That evolution makes it stronger. It's able to pick new powers and it's able to do a lot more damage. It can also sustain a lot more damage with its shields as well. Now for the Hunters, what we need to be doing here is tracking the monster to begin with. What we really want to do is find where that monster is and then throw it into a dome, essentially trapping the thing so we can do some damage to it. We really want to make sure that the monster isn't able to level up too easily. So the whole thing here is, at the moment, following these monsters' tracks, trying to work out where the monster is. It looks like it's headed up there. There's various different things that will help clue us up to where the monster is. For instance, tells on the map. There's currently a tracking marker, which is one of the abilities of one of these Hunters, I believe. And obviously what we want to do is we want to trap this thing. It's somewhere around here. I can feel it. There it is. Now I'm playing the Assault class, which is the damage dealer, so my job really is to try and stay on the monster. Yeah, we trapped him. There we go. There comes down the dome. And now it's a case of just trapping him for a small amount of time, for around a minute or so, and trying to do as much damage as we can before he manages to escape or kills one of our team. Now, the way that death works in this is everyone has kind of 3 lives apart from the monster. If the Hunters get taken down 3 times each, then they are taken out of the game. If they're incapacitated, then they will go on to a respawn, where the dropship will come back in around, I think, 1 minute to 2 minutes, and you will then get to drop back into the map. Now, the different classes are Medic, Support, Trapper, and Assault, and they work as you might expect. The Assault guy does damage, the Medic heals, and the Support guy, well, does support. He buffs shields and the like. The Trapper drops traps and has Daisy. Daisy is our little hunting creature, basically, and is able to track the monster quite efficiently. In other words, always follow Daisy. You can see there the Support guy is dropping an orbital barrage down. Hey, we killed him. Done. Simple as that for that one. That was just a little bit too easy, I think, so let's play another map, and hopefully it will last a little bit longer. But you can see there that if the players manage to do, the Hunters manage to do a really good job, then trapping that monster early on and, well, wiping the floor with it is a fairly easy thing. That, I have to say, is not an atypical match. Matches normally last a lot longer than that and involve the monster actually managing to get away and level itself up to Evolve 2 at very least. For the Hunters, normally there is an awful lot more wandering around, kind of going, where is everybody? Where is that monster? So that was certainly a interesting mission, that one. Don't normally see them lasting over quite as quickly as that. That was something of a record, I would say. So let's just see if anyone else is going to continue. Hopefully they will, and we'll just spin straight into the next map. And we are. Excellent. I'm going to go with my same class as last time, I think. And what we get in between the stages is we get a little map which will show us basically where the monster was, where we were, etc., and how that fighting was going down. Like you can see the dome dropping in at that point. So I think this one was over in less than well, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It's got to be some kind of record. So we're just waiting to load into the next map now. And here we go. Now I have to say the graphics here are really exceptional, probably amongst the best I've seen for games for 2015 as it were. Certainly when we kind of put it against things like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, what we see is this is the graphical style for the 2015 games really. Lots of shiny, lots of deep blacks and just a great looking high detail world. The level of detail is excellent here. If we put it against a game like Battlefield Hardline, which fair enough is a different style of game, much more open world, etc., bigger maps, it's very easy to see that a game like Evolve is really feeling next gen in its graphical styles, where unfortunately a game like Hardline is just not really having that 2015 shine to it. So what we've got on this one is I am playing the medic this time. So for the medic, it's going to be an awful lot of, well, supporting my teammates basically until the monster comes into sight. Once the monster comes into sight, I'm going to be trying to slow it down with tranq darts and also reduce its armour effectively, opening up opportunities to do more damage for the rest of the team. I'm then going to be switching back very quickly to healing, and obviously the idea there is to try and heal up my team as much as possible during the fight. What I don't want to happen is I don't want them to go down. If they go down, they're not doing damage ultimately to the monster, and they're using up some of those down lives, as it were. Potentially, if they lose too many of those lives, 3 lives, then they are out of the game and they'll just have to spectate. That makes it very, very difficult for the hunters from there on in. Now unfortunately it's going to force me to watch this video because I've not played the medic yet since the new game went live. I obviously played a lot during the beta and alpha phases. So interestingly and usefully, I suppose, this is something I've never really, you don't see done very often in these style of games, but making people watch a video first explaining how the class works. It's a cute way of doing it, I suppose, but it is a little frustrating when this is about the 9th time I've watched each of these videos. It's got to be, between all of the different phases. I'll just amuse myself staring at some spinning circles for a moment. Okay, here we go. One thing I do quite like actually is the banter between the characters, the hunters. You know, it does feel like this is a fairly living world, as it were, with characters. Whilst you don't necessarily care about them, they at least have a bit of flavour to them, unlike you know, many other games where you're pretty much just a generic avatar.
Well, great. Now I am a little worried. Thanks for that, Val.
Happy to help.
Now we're getting a pretty good solid 60 frames a second most of the time from the game. Occasional dips down to sort of 55, but they don't last particularly long, and then it pushes its way back up. And there's one great thing about the NVIDIA GTX graphics cards, the way they are able to reboost themselves, as it were, when they start seeing the frame rate drop a little bit, trying to keep that frame rate as solid as possible. Now what the hunters will do is track across this map now, looking for where the hunter is. You can see it's set off some birds, so we know it's over in this direction somewhere, and at the same time I'm following these tracks. Where's the rest of my team? They're behind me. It's a good place to be. Let's just take... Right, monster's gone this way. There he is. Got him! Now I'm going to switch over to the tranq gun now, and just see if... So the tranq gun will actually slow the monster down. So at this kind of range, where we're trying to basically trap him, anything I can do to kind of slow him down... Oops. Missed that. Yeah, don't pick on the wildlife. They hurt. Anyway. There you see. Now, killing wildlife actually can give us boosts as well, so it is kind of useful, but at this kind of stage, anything you happen to do to these creatures can backfire on you horribly, and you end up being taken down. Okay, so the monster's well and truly legged it. We've lost our opportunity there, I think, because we got distracted by a creature on the map. Now you can see that, as I say, this kind of stage, there is an awful lot of walking around. I mean, if you get lucky, you might manage to trap the monster, but otherwise... Hang on. Find my teammate who's managed to injure himself. Right, I've just seen the monster. He's over there. So, healing gun basically allows me to buff the damage, and if I use 4, pop a healing boost burst, which essentially does an area effect heal. Now, I'm absolutely positive that the monster is this direction, because I've seen him. And did we successfully trap him? I'm not sure. Doesn't look like it, as the dome's up. Oh, we did. Okay, so, right this second, I'll just try and pop some... Slow it down a bit if I can. There we go. And start healing. From a healing point of view, all I need to really do is try and keep these heals on whoever's taking the most damage and buff people up if I can. Give them 4. And the idea really is just try and stay alive, keep the team alive while I mete out this damage on the go. Every so often, swing back and just try and put some damage boosts into him. Hits me. Ow, 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 ow. That's really painful. But you can see that the support guy, because I was taking the hits then, one thing the monster will always try and do is take out the healer if they can, as early as possible. You can see that the support guy immediately started putting some shielding on me. This monster is down and gone. I think we've got a lot of monsters who don't quite know how to play at the moment, but there you go, that was another very quick game. But that gives you a good flavour for how Evolve actually plays. What we'll do is we'll probably spin on and let's do another one. These seem to be going quite quickly, so I wanted to do a good sort of 20-minute playthrough with you. So if you all don't mind, we'll carry on and we'll do another one. So again, we're just basically waiting for this map to turn over and to start again. And we'll have another go. Hopefully we'll get another class. But you can see there for the medic that the whole point really is to try and support your team as much as possible whilst opening up opportunities on the monster. If you're able to slow the monster down with tranks, then the team can catch up with him and hopefully trap him. Likewise, when the combat is actually happening, that sniper rifle's ability to open up penetration points on the monster where damage will be increased if those areas are hit is really, really useful. And obviously you've got that medic gun as well. So we can see here what the monster did is he looks like he got a bit caught up, yeah. Realistically, the way I try and do it is to move as fast as you possibly can ahead for about a minute or so, then start feeding, because you are actually faster than the hunters, and every kind of extra 10 seconds you gain on the hunters can just buy you more time, basically. That if they do manage to catch up with you, you can just quickly try and sprint away again. The key thing really is to get up to stage 2 as fast as you possibly can when you're playing the monster. But you know, one interesting thing is that in the alpha and beta we did spend an awful lot more time wandering around. Perhaps for the final game they have made it a little bit faster for the hunters, and perhaps for the monsters a little bit more difficult. Perhaps they're a little bit slower. We'll find out when we get to play through the monster. So what we're just waiting for here is loading screens as usual. Loading obviously is very dependent on everybody else on the team, so we just have to wait really and see what happens. Okay, here we go, and I'm back to playing as Markov again. Not a major problem. Now one thing you get is you get perks, and as you level up your character or the character classes you'll gain new perks. Personally I do like the additional jump height. But there are things like faster recharge, etc., which kind of works the same way, but for some of the classes that can be very useful. Okay, and here we go. Just waiting for that monster now. Hunters can be revived twice before they're gone, so it's not 3. I think it might have been 3 in alpha, but now 2 downs and that's it, you're taking out the game. Making it quite strategic for the monster if he always targets the medic. Then, you know, if he's able to take the medic out in the first sort of 5 minutes of the game, 10 minutes of the game, then he's probably going to win. It's as simple as that. Without healing, the hunters are very, very vulnerable. So one of the interesting things is that you have multiple different hunters in each class, and they can actually open up additional power, as it were, by levelling up. So there's quite a bit of variety here. One thing I did go and check was the store, because they've added a store, which I thought, oh, they'll be selling hunters and monsters in there, but actually they're not. They're just selling cosmetics. So if you want to make Markov look different with different looking guns, etc., you can pay something like $3.99 or whatever for skins. And all I can kind of say to that is, well, but anyway, this isn't a free-to-play game. If it was a free-to-play game, I'd be like, yeah, bring on the cosmetics. But it's not. This is a game that I've paid 35 quid for. So I kind of think to myself, I should have that stuff included for free, or as part of unlocks or something. Would be nice. But apparently not now. You know, it's one of those slightly strange things. Apparently, having made so much money out of Grand Theft Auto, the publishers, they are literally, you know, just cash hungry. You know, it boggles my mind the way that some games seem to be attempting to put in microtransactions, etc. And a $3.99 is not a microtransaction, by the way. I don't know, it's practically DLC. But that's just a little grumble. If you go into this game expecting to have bought absolutely everything in your box, you are mistaken, I'm afraid. What you're afraid you're going to find is there are still things you can buy that are cosmetic in nature. It does also seem to be suggested that the DLC will add new monsters and potentially new hunters as well, and presumably those will be available in the store if you don't want to buy the DLC content pack, as it were, the premium pack. But again, you know, I know these games are costing a lot more to produce, and in some cases almost double what they were costing to produce on the previous generation consoles, for a lot of different reasons. Partly texture quality has gone up, as has complexity. You now need a lot more developers to produce code for these next gen consoles, but at the same time you can't help but think that this you know, in-app purchases, cosmetics on games you paid full price for and so on, just is a little bit scummy. You know, I just don't like seeing stores on games launched on day one that are basically loaded with things you can buy, cosmetic or not. It gives me a really bad feeling. What I'd like to see is not being eaten by a strange carnivorous plant. But what I'd like to see is games, you know, adding that stuff in through DLC later, fine, but don't launch a game which essentially has cost full price and have a store there with cosmetics. That stuff should be included. That's stuff we should be unlocking and so on in days gone by. But you know, the industry has changed, and not necessarily for the better in all ways. You know, we have better graphics and so on, but we don't necessarily have better business models. Something that I think will come home to roost on the industry in 2016, actually. I have this sneaky suspicion that we are due a 1983 style crash because of the very large volume of absolute shoddy games that are being released. And I'm not talking just AAA titles that don't work particularly well, but the indie games as well. We're kind of going to hit saturation point. You look on Steam Greenlight, and so on, and look at the quality of the titles that we're actually getting, and kind of think to yourself, is the industry going to be able to continue to support all of these developers churning crap? And the answer is, quite frankly, no, it can't. If the industry couldn't support a very small number of developers in '83, it's going to have an even bigger problem when we've got probably hundreds of thousands of developers now across so many different platforms. I'm afraid we are going to see a lot of consolidation in the industry over the next 18 months or so. We can expect some big players to go bust, or to find themselves in a very serious trouble. Especially for companies like Ubisoft, where they've, you know, pretty much destroyed their reputation the same way EA did. But for Ubisoft, you know, EA turned out 1 or 2 crap games. Ubisoft might seem to have managed to turn out 5 this year. Quite remarkable. Now, anyway, being distracted by industry chatter, which I know some of you do enjoy, but here we really are going for the monster. We can see him, he's in sight, and he's desperately climbing walls to try and get away from us. Now, again, yeah, just coming back to what I was saying earlier about my movement speed and health. Basically, if my movement speed, if my health drops as it has now, you can see my movement speed is really slow unless I'm using my jetpack. So I could really do with someone on the team catching up with me. Can't really do much until I get some heals here. It's the same for everyone. So you know, again, playing that medic, absolutely crucial. You stay with everybody else and you keep people healed up, because it is now the monster is getting away from us. And again, this actually opens up an interesting tactic for the monster. If in that early part of the game you're able to you know, do a bit of damage to all of the different heroes and then run away, you're going to have an easier job at getting away, because ultimately they're going to have to heal up first before they can really pursue you. And you know, this is painful like this. unless the monster apparently tries to run towards you, in which case somebody get over and throw the dome up, please. There we go, let's have him. He's hit level 2, so he's extra dangerous. Let's stay away from that. Whoa. And it's looking like we are doomed here, because everybody's been taken down. Where's that monster gone? Let's see if I can get into one of my guys. No. Monster wins! Monster wins. So that gives you a bit of an idea. I think that's probably a pretty good playthrough. You've got to see the monster kick some ass as well. The gameplay seems to be much faster than it was in alpha and beta. This is very strange. As you've seen, we've had 3 matches there where they've been over in 3 or 4 minutes, and whilst partly this could be down to the competency of my teammates and the monster, it could very well be that we are seeing a suitable rebalancing of this game to make the matches that little bit quicker. Now again, that's going to work very well for the campaign mode aspects of this game, because obviously what you don't want is 5 campaigns that take 2.5 hours to altogether to complete. Something that maybe takes around half an hour, 45 minutes, that feels a little bit better. Pick up and play style with your friends. So that is a pretty good look at what Evolve offers you. If you're buying this game today, do let me know in the comments what you think, but also do bear in mind that this is very early on in this game's lifestyle. It's going to take a bit of time for people to work out the various tactics as well as leveling everything up, so we might very well see things take a bit longer as this game progresses over the next week or so, but likewise we might see some tactics that allow for very quick takedowns on hunters and monsters. It's all going to evolve, and it's all going to be a very interesting time for this game. What I've seen so far is certainly good enough to recommend. It's fast paced now, and the graphics are really excellent. Thanks for watching. Don't forget you can pledge $1 a month on Patreon to help support the Androidizen, keeping us 100% independent, an honest opinion direct from the UK. If you pledge $1 a month, you'll be entered into our prize pool to win cool items from our review bag. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. We love to chat.